Hey, this is Coffee with Friends, and I am raw to the bone. Happy fucking Thursday, y'all. Listen, we are nearing the end of another fucking week, but guess what? I don't go back to work until Tuesday. So I'm okay with that. All right. All right. Come on in, y'all. Hey, Interior Rue. Good morning. Good morning. Come on in. Yesterday, I did a pre recorded show just to frame out what we're going to be talking about today. But before we get into it, y'all know I have to set y'all up with today's vibes because, I always say it's going to be a what? Step one, wake up early, gonna rise with the sun. Step two, get some good, some food in you. Step three, think real hard about what you wanna be. Hey, step four. Everybody just do your thing. Wake up, today's gonna be a good day. 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 Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Set your affirmations, aspirations. Set your affirmations, aspirations. All right. Good mood, blood in circulation. One step at a time. Yeah, that's how you make it. Set a goal you control, and the steps you take them. I try to pick one thought, have some concentration. What? And if I make a mistake, it's called education. I try to do this every day. It's called replication. What? Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Hey. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. 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 I think there's a reason, though. Ups and downs, just like every different season, yo. Sometimes I'm high, other times I'm barely breathing, y'all. You always gotta fight and hide from the demons, yo. Negative thoughts, poison the ride. Head full of flies, so here come the clouds. They'll never stop unless I can swap all the bad for the good in my head when I'm lost. Hey, what? So I'ma fake it till I make it. Hey. Thoughts are overtaken. I got visions one day at a time. That's how you operate a cadence. You grow, you show yourself the foundation. Stay away from all the shit that causes hesitation. What? I know that I like to do it cause it's sensation. I live my life in my head like a narration. Don't expect greatness to my best, man. I take it. Hey, today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Wake up, y'all. Today's gonna be a what? Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up. Today's gonna be a good day. Today's gonna be a good day. Yeah, it's been a good week. Yeah, my schedule has been a little crazy. All right. And so I know that my Coffee with Friends members are a little bit confused because normally I'm on at 8 a.m., but I've been on at 9 a.m. this week because, I'm in my duties. I have the 8-year-old. And so that involves getting up in the morning, making sure he eats, getting him to school. Then I stop and feed the cats. There's a couple of things that I do in the morning before I got to get my show going. So that's why I push my show to 9 a.m. And even 9 a.m., sometimes I'm cutting it close because this morning I looked at the time and I was like, whoop, I was on the other side of Hackensack. I had to hurry up and get over here and start the show. So come on in, come on in. Good morning, Facebook. Good morning, IG. Good morning, YouTube. What are we talking about today? There's a couple of things I wanted to bring to the table today. But before I do that, yesterday I posted a pre-recording where we talked about where I brought up boundaries. This week has been a series of conversations around connecting things, right? Originally, we started out this week, reminding each other that we're all different and we handle things different. So stop trying to force your ways onto other people and stop calling people stupid for handling things the way they want to handle these things, right? We're all human. There's no manual as to how we are supposed to navigate through life. Most of us are navigating through life based on learned lessons, right? Hey, Pat, good morning. The next thing is we talked about treat people how we want to be treated, right? But to what point? At what point do we get, to that end point that says, nah, this is enough, right? There's many of people we know, because we're human, using, right, using their trauma, their past trauma, to continue to mistreat people, right? And we have to be able to recognize when people are leaning and using their trauma to constantly mistreat you, right? It is our responsibility as adults to recognize the trauma in ourselves. Good morning, Angel, and work towards fixing those shits. Period. Right? I'm just saying. So that led us into Zen recommending that we go into talking about boundaries, right? Because it all plays a part. And so yesterday I did a pre-recording about boundaries, letting you guys know that this is something that we were going to talk about. I gave you some of my thoughts on the boundaries, and I also watched the video that I posted on my IG page that Zen shared with me, where a woman is on there talking about boundaries not being for other people, but boundaries being for you. And we're going to talk about that a little bit more deeply. Good morning, Fancy K. So come on in, y'all. Wow. Before we get into the topic, but let the topic marinate, right? Because we want to pick through this, right? Because this is how we do better as a people. This is how we can continue to love up on ourselves better, right? Which can make us better friends, better lovers, better parents, right? Better coworkers. Okay. That's our goal on this show, to be better, right? Good morning. Good morning. So, as you guys can see, I'm rocking my whole get up. X Judgment cap. This is called a dad cap, right? The back of the cap, it says X Judgment on the back. I don't know if y'all can see that, but it's back there, right? And so, this line means a lot to me. I explained to you guys what this line means to me. And so I do wear this line, you know, proudly, right? The shirt, I have my shirt tied up, but this is a unisex shirt, men and women. And although it carries some words that are derogatory, these are real, true words that people have used against me. All right. And so I wanted you guys to see what it looked like on. It gives you like the power to the people type movement. But that's my style. I'm into that, right? So this is for me. If you are brave enough to wear this, go for it, right? Or if words hurt has been, an instrument in your life that you had to try to heal from, wear it, right? As a statement to let other people know we're not accepting these words. That's what the red paint, this is real paint, and it doesn't wash off in the washing machine. Okay. I've washed this shirt. I've had this shirt over a year and I've washed it and I've dried it a couple of times by mistakes, and my words are still there. All right. And so this is real red paint. This is stitched in. This is stitched, but this is real red paint. And this is to show that many of us bleed on the inside when words are used against us. Good morning, Zen. Good morning, Sandy, right? And so that's what this shirt represents to me. Okay. So if you are, you know, if you are interested in this Get Up X Judgment, I do not have any cups left. Mm. But I do have the caps and the shirts, and I have them in two different colors. This is the black version, and then I have the gray. All right. So, right, Brandilla, I wear. Okay. Thank you. I need these kind of testimonies, Brandilla. Brandilla said she still wears her I Matter tee and it still looks great. I've had it over a year. Thank you. I love that feedback. Anybody that has bought something from me that you have good feedback. I mean, sometimes it might be a bad feedback because I'm purchasing garments from manufacturers and I'm testing them out myself. But for the most part, a lot of my t-shirts have held up to the fire. And so I'm glad to hear, Brandilla, that you've had a great experience with the I Matter t-shirt. The I Matter t-shirt, that's another t-shirt that I have in two versions, right? Because we have to remind ourselves that we matter, right? Most of my t-shirts have a meaning, right? To everything that I speak to on this show. I matter. Two versions of that t-shirt is still out there. Go to my website. I have some cute little items out there. All right. Hey, VDI photo. Good morning. Good morning. So I wanted to tell you a little bit about the X Judgment, and I did. And I wanted to wear it for you guys so that you know that I do rock my shit. All right. And I dropped my grandson off at school looking just like this. Like, what? I'm letting y'all know what I stand for and what I don't stand for. Period. Right? Let's love up on each other. All right. And so rawtothebone.com if you're interested. But what about Jesse Powell, y'all? Jesse Powell. He passed away. I didn't read all the details. I was so busy yesterday. I didn't get to read all the details behind what happened with Jesse Powell. But does anybody know what happened? Like, how did he die? Such talent. That's unfortunate. Although I haven't heard from him in a while, right? And so I wonder if he was ill. I don't know, but rest in peace, Jesse Powell, and prayers and strength for the family that has to heal through this. All right. The other thing is Cheryl Lee Ralph. Yes, congratulations to Cheryl Lee Ralph. I got you interior room. Cheryl Lee Ralph, who won the Emmy. Did you guys see her daughters screaming? Now, I don't watch award shows really anymore. I've gotten so tired of watching the Oscars, the Emmys, and these shows, and hoping for a needle in a haystack. What do I mean by that? Hoping that one of us wins. Holding on to the edge of my seat, wondering if one of us is going to win an award, right? And so it was fantastic to turn on my TV the next day and see Cheryl Lee Ralph celebrating and hearing her daughter screaming, "Mommy, mommy." Oh my God, mommy. That's wonderful. And I believe she won it for Abbott Elementary. Am I right? Am I wrong? I have not seen Abbott Elementary. Don't throw tomatoes at me. Don't. I just have not seen it yet, right? But I am going to commit to taking a peek at Abbott Elementary. I hear that there's a lot of good deep topics that comes out of Abbott Elementary. So I will take a look at it eventually. Yeah. My keyboard is filthy. All right. So Interior Ruth said, yes, hearing he passed made me sad. I deduced that he may have been ill for a little while. Yeah. He's been quiet. But I mean, a lot of, it's just unfortunate. It's unsad. And, it's so crazy because, oh, it's weird because to me, this is how I reflect in my life and how old I am. Not to say that I'm old, I am up there in age, but you know, um, just thinking about all the singers and the entertainers, right? The actors that I grew up with that or have listened to in my teenage years or my young 20s and 30s, to watch them pass on, right? It's like when that happens, I go back and reflect on the generation before me, like my mother, my aunts, my uncles, and shit, when they be playing their music and, somebody dies like Marvin Gaye and it's a big deal. Like Marvin Gaye was a big deal, right? To my mother and them generation, right? It affected our generation a bit, but it impacted them more. And now I see, like when we lost Whitney Houston, Michael Jackson, I mean, it hurts. We don't even know these motherfuckers, but it does. We miss the art form that they contribute. All right. So rest in peace, Jesse Powell. Interior said her kids showed out. I'm so very proud of her because I love her. Didn't they show out? Di- li- but you know what? I'm not mad at them. I'm not mad at them because how they act, I do that on a regular for some smaller shit. All right. If my mama would have been up there winning the Emmy, I'd have been right there with them. The fuck. It was a joyous moment. I love it. Abbott Elementary is a really good show. You won't be disappointed. I know. I really gotta watch that shit. I do. So we also touched upon the Mississippi water. So I wanted to bring to you that I saw a good deed. And I posted it in my story. And it's very vague in my mind right now because I got so much shit going on this week. But we talked about the water in Mississippi and how we need to pray for these motherfuckers in Mississippi because this is another Flint situation, right? This country is acting like a third world country. But people are so beautiful in nature. When we could dust off our trauma that we're fighting against, we're really beautiful, right? A gentleman and I guess some other people got together and installed hundreds of filters on people's sinks and showers and shit in their homes and demonstrated what the water looks like before the filter is used versus when the filter is used. So kudos to you guys out there making a difference to the communities that need a difference to be made. Congratulations. All right. That's beautiful. Any little contribution we can make, and it's not even little. That was a big contribution. Hundreds of water filters. So, guys, this is what I mean when I say do your part. Just a small, some people contribute stuff like that. Some people just jump on a podcast and bring awareness to things, talk about things. You know, whatever you could do to add positivity to your community, do it. I love it. All right. And so today, y'all, we are talking about boundaries, right? Setting boundaries. And in a video that I pre recorded and posted yesterday, I talked about how boundaries have been a struggle for me, right? Oftentimes people will be like, oh, set your boundaries, set your boundaries, set your boundaries. I'm going to drop the guest link. I know that my guest might be a little light today because of the time that I'm jumping on. Most people are used to me being on at 8 a.m., and that's fine. Right? The show will be here if you want to listen to it, right? The guest link is up for anybody that wants to jump on and talk about boundaries. And I talked about on a pre recorded show yesterday that boundaries for me has always been a struggle. I have always allowed people to push my boundaries, right? And that's something that I need to work on. And thank you, Zen, for sending me that video where the woman spoke briefly about boundaries. Because one of the most important things that she said about boundaries is boundaries are not for other people. You can't control what other people do. So the boundaries are not for other people, right? Because if you created boundaries for other people, guess what? And this is not what she said, but this is what I got from it, right? When you create boundaries that are focused on other people, then your boundaries are going to constantly change based on the people that are in your life. That's what I got from it. But if you create the boundary for you, right? Things that you can control, that's where the boundary makes sense, right? You cannot control. We're in this video that I shared on IG. She says you can't control how other people act or what they do, say, any of that. So, for example, she gave a perfect example of I'm not going to allow you to talk to me this way. And some people call that a boundary. I have my boundaries. I'm not going to allow people to talk to me any way they want. That's not a boundary. That's a request, right? You're requesting that people speak to you in a respectable manner, but that's not a boundary, right? A boundary is more like I'm not going to remain in a space where people talk to me disrespectfully. There's a difference there, right? You can't control how person A speaks to you, but you can control how you whether you want to remain in that space with that person. And see, this is probably why I've struggled with my boundaries all these years because I'm not creating the proper boundaries. I'm probably creating boundaries based on people opposed to creating boundaries based on the things that I myself can control. What do y'all think about that? What do y'all think about that? And so that made me rethink a lot of things and how to move forward and how to set my boundaries going forward. Hi, I am Jacinta. Good morning. How to set my boundaries going forward. I have to not set my boundaries with things that I can't control. I can't control another person. I can only control myself. And that gave me food for thought. It did. Hey, Zen. That gave me food for thought. I dropped the guest link for anybody that wants to jump on here and talk about boundaries and if boundaries have been a struggle in your life and how that has impacted your life. For me, um, yes, Zen, this is your topic, boundaries. It was a very good segue, based on everything that we've been talking about, right? And this was a good topic because for me, Zen, I've always struggled with maintaining my boundaries. And that video really highlighted some of the issues that I'm battling because I'm not setting my boundaries properly. How many of you on here have struggled with your boundaries, right? When you sit and you ask yourself, why do I allow this type of treatment? Okay. It makes a lot of sense then. It made me rethink my boundaries. And this is where, this is why I love this show because, a lot of us are navigating through life, like I said, through our life experiences, right? We don't always know everything. Right. And so, when this boundary topic was suggested and when Zen sent me the video, I was sitting there for a minute scratching my head like, wait a minute, I'm not even setting the right boundaries. I'm not. So it gave me something to think about. It gave me something to do. I'm reflecting on the things that I need in my life and the things that hurt me, and I'm going to define those into boundaries that I myself can control. Right? I said something a while ago on here that you know, how many times, have you sat by yourself and said, I don't deserve this shit, but you still in the mix of it and you can't figure out why you are in a situation that you keep reminding yourself that you don't deserve. I've been there. I will sit in that situation and go, what in the holy fuck is happening? I'm in a situation. I know I don't deserve this. I don't want this behavior, but everything seemed to be out of control. And now it's like, I understand it. I'm not setting my boundaries properly. I've been fucking struggling this whole fucking time. I got to set boundaries only based on what I myself can control. I can control walking the fuck away. That I can control. So a boundary for me is, I'm not going to accept, example, physical or verbal abuse, right? I can't control your mouth from verbally abusing me, but what I fucking can control is me being absent from that fucking space. Right? Not sitting in a situation where you are being verbally abused and day after day and night after night, you're saying to yourself, I don't deserve this. And I have a boundary, or you're saying to the person, you're crossing the boundaries. I don't accept people speaking to me like that. That's not a boundary. Zen said, I'm so excited that we're discussing it. It makes sense, right? A lot of fucking sense. We would have better relationships if we understood how to set our boundaries. I believe, right? Okay? I am Jacinta said, I was just talking with my husband about not compromising on my boundaries. Great topic. Right. And see, I've been bad at that, but now I understand why. My boundaries have not been concrete. Right? They've been variable. They change based on people because I'm setting boundaries based on the people in front of me, not based on me. Thank you. I learned something. I appreciate you, motherfuckers. Okay? Zen said, how many people cross boundaries that you set and then wonder why it always happens? That's where I was at. Twins! Mother, me! Listen, Zen, I'm gonna finish reading this shit because you came all the way inside of me and reached my soul with that. All right. That's where I was at. Then this popped up and I was like, woo, game changer, baby. I was in the same place then. People cross my boundaries all the fucking time. And I sit there and I scratch my head and I go, what in the holy fuck is going on? Why are my boundaries being walked all over? Because I was setting them shits wrong. I'm trying to control other people and how the fuck they act. And I said something a while ago on this show. I said, I used to be afraid. And a part of me still is. I'm still working on this shit, right? I used to be afraid to. Do I need more light over here on fucking IG? All right, that's a bit better. I used to be afraid to lose people, right? But baby, now I'm in the mindset that people need to be also afraid of losing me. If you can't respect my boundaries, that just might the fuck happen. You might just the fuck lose me. That's it and that's all. You might lose me. I guess that lighting ain't working. You might lose me. It is what it is. Um, but that's where I was then. And so when you don't set your boundaries properly, guess what, y'all? You hurting yourself. You're hurting yourself. Hey, Kev SD. Yes, protagonist, keep up. If you have joined the show on IG, give me the hearts because I love y'all and I need to know that you love me back. And if you have come on YouTube, take a minute and give me the thumbs up. Show that you like the show. And if you're on Facebook, give me the like and say some shit. All right. Protagonist said my boundaries are non-negotiable. As soon as I'm crossed, I'm out. Do you do you disclose your boundaries to your friends, to your significant other, to whomever? IG had a poor signal for a minute, so you had a blip. Do you disclose your boundaries? So I am Jacinta. When you said you were talking with your husband the other day about not compromising on your boundaries, is this a topic of conversation that you have with your friends and your significant other, or do you just move silently with these boundaries in the background? I'm asking. Zen said, I'm not afraid of losing people. I can make friends. The messed up part for me is losing someone that I have significant history with. I have a friend 30 years and it's getting close to having a convo about his behavior towards me. Yes, having the friends for a long period of time that cross your boundaries. That's a hard one. That's a hard one. 30 years of friendship is a hard one. I went through that Zen with a friend of mine. We've been friends for almost 30 years now, right? And I went through that about 15, 13 years ago with this friend where I was going through a lot of things and I didn't feel like they respected my boundaries or cared about what I was going through at the time. And I ultimately had to have the conversation with them. And the good thing, the bad thing is that it tainted our relationship for a period of time. It put some strain and some weight on our relationship. But the blessing is this: years later, Okay, because I had to keep my feet to the ground, right? And let them know that whatever I do, my life, I have a personal life and I have things going on. And so things are not going to always be the same, right? They're going to change, they're going to fluctuate. And me and this friend was having a hard time. And we were having a lot of battles and boundaries were being crossed. All right. And I ultimately had to have a conversation. But today our friendship is as strong as ever. So the conversation is definitely needed, Zen. All right. But first, we have to make sure that we understand how to set our boundaries. Okay. Protagonist says, I definitely express myself. That is why I get so hurt. And you know what, protagonist? That's the crazy thing. Like a lot of us, I know for me, being that I've been hurt a good couple of times in my life, that's a part of us living, right? I'm so cautious to how I move. And I almost hate it, protagonist. I don't know how you feel about it, but I almost hate how cautious I am because I'm so hesitant to express how I feel about things or about people because I'm not trusting because I don't want to be hurt, right? And again, that has a lot to do with me knowing how to set my boundaries. That video was a game changer. Like Zen said, if you have not seen that video that was passed to me by Zen that I passed on to you guys on IG, please go look at that video. It's very short and to the fucking point. Question: how does setting boundaries and maintaining those boundaries lend to better relationships? I need answers. What are y'all thoughts? How does setting boundaries and maintaining those boundaries lend to better relationships? Good morning, protagonist. Why am I afraid I am the center of losing people? I think, that's a great question. I believe it's a trauma. I've told my story. I have on my YouTube channel, right? I have my live videos and then I have my storytelling, right? Where I share a portion of my life in growing up, right? And I also, during one of my chat and walks, I talked about me being afraid of being alone. These are all things that I've, inherited through childhood trauma, right? Why am I afraid of losing people? Because growing up, I always felt alone. I did. And it's not that I was alone necessarily. I was in a room full of people and there was people there. But deep inside, I always felt alone, lonely. I don't know why, right? I don't know why. I always felt alone. And so that traveled with me from a child all the way into my adulthood. And so when I get people in my life, I go back to that feeling that I had when I was young of feeling alone and feeling lonely. I have also experienced in my adult relationships, being in adult relationships and having a significant other and being lonely, right? And I think that has just added to my ongoing fears of losing people. And I'm working on that. I don't want to be afraid of losing people, right? Now I'm Jekyll and Hyde in a sense because this statement is lent to those that I really grow an attachment to, those that I care about, right? But I have the fuck walked away from people and never looked back, right? But in a defense mechanism way, inside I hurt. Inside I get that lonely feeling. Inside I'm asking myself, here I the fuck go again by myself. But defense mechanism to protect myself, I will walk away, right? And that's something that I'm working on. Being afraid of losing people, right? And I've made progress. I've made progress, right? Because I'm learning to tell myself that these motherfuckers gotta be afraid of losing me too. It's gotta be a two-way street. And so that's why I am Jacinta. I say that a lot of us are still unpacking a lot of shit that has traveled with us from childhood. So I think that's why I'm afraid. Just like one day during my chat and walk, I talked about why I never liked doing things alone. Not that I hate it, but why I never liked doing things alone. Because growing up, the couple of times that I was alone, something bad happened. And I grew a fear of being alone, even in my older age. This is how trauma works. But I understand it and I'm working on it. Interior Rue said, this is probably going to sound weird, y'all, but oh well, nothing is weird. The fuck? We are here. We are human. We're all different. I hate being touched. Like, seriously, I do not like it. But for whatever reason, people seem to do it all the time. Okay, you do not like being touched. So, what would a boundary be for a person that does not like being touched? Listen, that's your thing. So, you don't like being touched, randomly being touched, or touched like family members hugging you. What do you mean you don't like being touched? I need a little bit more on that. And you know what? It doesn't sound weird at all. We're all different. The fuck, you know? Hey, Glamour 47. Hey, Shania Brown. I am Jacinta said, I feel like when my boundaries are being crossed, it warrants a conversation. Great point. What happens when your boundaries are being crossed? Like Zen said, a friend 30 years, he's about to have a conversation. I am Jacinta said, it warrants a conversation. At what point do you bring this conversation to the table? And if anybody has ever brought the conversation to the table about their boundaries, has anybody, significant other or friend, tried to challenge your boundaries? I'm asking. Zen says someone that truly cares about you takes your concerns, feelings, feedback, whatever, very seriously and to the heart. If they argue, fight, throw it back on you, that's a person you need to watch. And good morning, Sai Abdullah. Good morning. You see, I broke out in a sweat over that. Shit. I got to read that one again. Damn it. I got to read that one again. My guest link is up if anybody wants to jump on, because I like it when other people share their perspectives on here. Um, Someone truly cares about you takes your concerns and feelings, feedback, whatever, very seriously and to the heart. If they argue, and I just asked this without reading that, what have you ever had an experience where someone argued your boundaries? And Zen is saying if they argue, fight, or throw it back on you, that's a person you need to watch. Just watch. Mm. Protagonist said, after my baby mama left, I ain't scared of losing no one. The flip side of that is I ain't interested in opening up like I did before. Yeah. There's a lot of people out there like that. A lot of reasons why we can't get good relationships because a lot of motherfuckers are scared to open up. I recognize it out here as I'm dating. A lot of people are afraid to open up. They don't want to get hurt. How do our boundaries help protect us from being hurt? Anybody want to answer that? Good morning, Johnny Leon Hill. Johnny said, good morning. This might sound strange. Number two, first Interior Ruth said this might sound weird. Now you said this might sound strange. Okay. I let people all the way in because I don't have any expectation of people. Okay. All right. It's very few people that I lean on. And if you're not one of them, anything don't do doesn't come at a surprise. I can let you get close without you ever really being as close as you think you are. Wow. Mm. I like that. I can let you get close without you really knowing how close you are. I don't see nothing wrong with that. I didn't see nothing wrong with Interior Rules not liking to be touched. Right, Zen? Not strange at all. Not strange at all. Interior Rue said, when I tell people about it, they find it funny and do it even more. I don't want to explode on people, but it angers me to the point. Should I wear a shirt or something? Listen, no, you should let people know that you don't want to be touched. And if they don't respect that, then stop being around those people, right? Because obviously they don't respect you. Look what Zen said. If they cared about you, they would take your boundaries to heart. They wouldn't argue. It's not a joke. No matter how funny your situation or your boundary may seem to somebody else, it's not a joke, right? And we have to listen. We This is how you temperature check your circle and the people that's in your circle. I use the term friend lightly. I call a lot of people my friends, but people know whether they're my friends or not. They do. Everybody that I call friend is not my friend. They're not. Right? But it's so much easier than saying, "Oh, that's just a person I know," or "That's just an acquaintance or an associate." I just say friend, but deep down inside, everybody ain't my fucking friend. And no, you should not have to wear a shirt or anything to say I don't like to be touched. Just like hair, when motherfuckers go to touch my hair, I be like, "Don't touch." The fuck. And if they still go to touch, they might get cussed the fuck out. Like, if you don't have any respect for me, then why should I be courteous to you? If I tell you, if you see someone coming towards you to touch you and you say, "Don't touch me, I don't like to be touched," and they touch you anyway, whatever fucking happens next is their fault, right? And then you have a choice. This is where you control your boundary. This is where that video was socket to me, powerful, because she said your boundary is something you control, not the next person. You can't control the next person trying to reach out and touch you, right? But what you can do is you can control walking the fuck away and not being in that person's presence again. And when they fucking wonder why you not around them, you be like, "Bitch, I done told you, don't fucking touch me," and you keep touching me. Simple. I know easier said than done because I'm still working on creating my boundaries. And now I have a new path of how I'm going to create these boundaries, right? And when I create these boundaries, I have to be true to myself, right? Because the boundaries are our responsibility, not somebody else's. Listen to the video. It's our responsibility. So, interior rule, when you let the person touch you and you holding that anger inside, guess what? You've lost control of your boundary. It's not on them, it's on us. It's on you. I am Jacinta said, "Robin, you set your boundaries when you go to the doctor. When you tell them that you don't want to know the weight on the scales. Kudos to you. Don't be so hard on yourself." True. True. And you know the crazy shit is, I told y'all the last time I went and I stepped on the scale, the fucking nurse. You know how somebody fucking whispers, but they whisper loud? She was like, and my weight came out. I said, "Ma'am, I've been coming here for years and I specifically told you." And she joked about it and it pissed me off, right? It pissed me off so bad. I was like, I don't find it funny. If I specifically ask you, and the doctor walked in at the time, and I said, if I specifically ask you to do something, I expect you to respect that. Period. I mean, listen, I yelled at her once or twice. That is a boundary for me because them numbers on that shit fucks me up. I don't want to know what my weight is, ma'am. Okay? And so I said that, and it was so funny because because Rashmi called me one day and she was like, "I was at the doctor," because a bunch of, a few of us, me, her, AG, we go to the same doctor. She was like, "I was at the doctor and, don't yell at her anymore. She looks so fragile. And, I feel sorry for her." I was like, "Oh, I'm going to try, but shit, she better not whisper my fucking weight again." Thank you, I am Jacinta, for giving me a kudos. I need that every now and again. All right. Um, Zen said, "I am completely open to everyone until I'm not." Let me think about this shit, because when I started working with you, I don't know. You were a bit toughy. Me and you clicked right away, but you were a bit toughy. But let me think. I don't. Do you let everybody in right away? I got to think about that. Okay? I am completely open to everyone until I'm not. And if I'm not, it's because you started to cross boundaries that I set. Okay. I could probably agree with that. I've never seen you really butt heads with anyone, really. Pat said, when someone touches your boundaries, speak on it immediately. Yes, this is for you, interior Rue. When somebody fucking touches you, be like, didn't the fuck I say? You might not have to say it like that because, I know a lot of people say, I cuss a lot. I cuss, I cuss, I cuss, right? But that's what the fuck I do. You ain't got to do that, but this is me. But let people know. Pat said, speak on it immediately with hold on, wait a minute. Or with excuse me and have the conversation immediately. Do not let it fester. What happens, Pat, when you let it fester? When people cross your boundaries and you let it fester, what happens? What do you think happens? I'm going to tell you what happened to me. The fuck? I'm going to tell you what happened to me. But Pat, what do you think happens, or anybody on here, what do you think happens when people constantly cross your boundaries and you do not have the conversation immediately and you let it fester? What happens? I am destined to say, give yourself grace, as Theodore would say. Yes. Interior Rue said, the random touching. I don't mind the hugs, but it's people talking to you that feel like they need to touch you while talking to you. Woo, I have a girlfriend that does that. I didn't understand it at first, right? And this is where the human being, element comes in. And so she, like, when she's talking to me, I know exactly what you're talking about. I have a good friend that does that. We're talking and she'll constantly poke my arm or touch my leg, like tap my leg or touch my arm as she's talking to me. And I'm like, I remember saying to her once or twice, why are you poking me? And she's like, oh, it's a habit to make sure you're listening to me, right? Because she said she hates to be dismissed and she hates when people ignore her, right? And so that's something that she's working on. So a lot of times people are acting based on some shit that they're working through. So once she explained that to me, I wasn't as irritated because I realized that this is something that she did out of a habit, out of some things that she needed to work on. And so she's about the only person that I let do that, poke me while she's talking to me, because I know that that's an issue, something that she's working on. But listen, when somebody is doing that shit to you, interior, you could be like, listen, I'm listening to you. You don't have to poke me. That I don't like people touching me. Just say that. Just say it like, listen, okay, I'm listening to you. Please stop poking me. I have a thing about people touching me. I don't like to be randomly touched like that. That's it. If I'm not fucking, if you're not hugging me, don't touch me. All right. Zen said, agree at Pat, with one exception. For me, not everyone is worthy of a conversation. I weigh that carefully. Not, I need to hang there for a minute. I'm going to sip my fucking coffee on that one. Not everyone is worthy of a conversation. What does that mean to you, Zen? Not everyone is worthy of a conversation. I've been saying this for some time. Motherfuckers be like, you need to talk to this person and let them know. I'll be like, no, I ain't got to talk to nobody and say shit. If I don't want to be bothered, I don't have to be bothered. I don't have to have a conversation with you. I agree with that. Everyone is not worthy of a conversation. I'm a sip. Mm, I'm a sip. Mm. Okay. I weigh that carefully, but some people won't learn or won't care. So, what happens when you set your boundaries? You've brought your boundaries to the attention of these other people, and they still attempt to cross your boundaries. And you recognize that these motherfucker don't care. What do you do? Pat said, I don't like people putting their hands on my face unless it is my significant other. Do not touch my face. People go around touching other people's face? Mm-mm. Mm-mm. That should be an automatic no to fuck no. Don't. Who's touching faces? Listen, people are rude. I am Jacinta jumping around. I love it. Um, Ta Tao Noctua. Good morning, Tao. I don't know if this is if you have always been joining Coffee with Friends and this is a different name because you're on YouTube, but if you're new, welcome. And if you are a Coffee with Friends standard member that joins every day, what is your normal name that pops up on IG or Facebook so that I'll know? But if you're new, welcome. Setting boundaries is one thing. Setting rules is just trying to subjugate me. Mm, that's a deep one. What's the difference of setting boundaries and setting rules? Let's talk about that shit. Setting boundaries versus setting rules. What is the difference? Anybody? Anybody want to chime in on that? Setting boundaries versus setting rules. Is there a difference? And if there is, what is the difference? All right. Pat said, if you let it fester, this means that if somebody is crossing your boundaries and you do not address it, what happens? And Pat said, if you let it fester, one day I will go out of character and I want to kick your ass. That part, that part, when you let it go so far that you want to kick somebody's ass, right? I wasn't going to go that extreme, but shit, that part too. The fuck when you want to fight. But for me, one of the things that happens to me is I build resentment. I get very resentful, and I change. And I'm not the same. And then it affects me because I don't like to not be the same. I don't like to not be me and my organic self. And when someone crosses my boundaries constantly and it puts me in a bad space, it causes me to like retract within myself and I become very unhappy, resentful, bitter, right? And I have been in situations where I've lived in that space being resentful, being bitter, instead of just removing myself because I let shit fester. And then when I tried to bring it to the light, the person said, all this time, I've been doing this. And then you like on this merry-go-round of bullshit. Okay? Don't let it fester. Don't let it continue. We constantly say we teach people how to treat us, right? We constantly say treat people how we want to be treated. We constantly say we're human beings, give each other grace, but we got to give ourselves grace first, right? We got to attend to our own fucking needs. And our boundaries are one of them. But what's the difference between boundaries and rules based on Tao? Tao says setting boundaries is one thing, setting rules is just trying to subjugate me. Subjugate me. What does that mean? Zen said, I used to touch people when I talked to them because I felt it was a stronger connection with that person. But someone has a convo with me and I listened and learned. Now I don't do it. All good. Yeah. Yeah. Just have the conversation, interior rule. Hey, Madam Amelia, New Jersey. Good morning. Good morning, Miss Shalandere. I am Jacinta said at Interior Rule. That's not weird at all. My husband love language is touch, and I don't care to be touched at all. See, two people on here that don't care to be touched, right? I get what you're saying, though. My therapist has helped me understand the emotions about behind touch, and also it can be related to hormones too. It happens to me when I am on my monthly. Wow. And you know what's crazy? I am Jacinta. My love language is touch too. Right. I will listen. My foot has to be on you. My hand is on you. I'll sleep with my hand holding your dick all night. I'm just about. I need to touch you, and I want to feel you. If if you my man, this is why I say my motherfucker can't go into a separate room and talk about I'm sleeping in a separate room because I'll be like this, what? With the blanket over my shoulder talking about, here I come, boo. because I need to touch you. Even if it's my toe, even if I'm sitting there, my finger is on your shoulder. Is That's me. I'm very touchy. And I need you to be okay with that. But you know what this show has taught me? Sorry, y'all, I had an itch. You know what this show has taught me? This show has taught me that everybody don't like to be randomly touched like that. And for a person like me that likes to touch you a lot, right? I would hope that the people in my life, if I have someone in my life and y'all are listening right now and y'all don't like to be touched, please tell me. Please tell me because I'm gonna touch you like I mean, I fight not to put my feet on my mother. Cause she gets, she be like, your feet are heavy, or your feet are this, or your feet are that. But like my friend Doris, like when I'm hanging around her, I put my feet on her lap. She rub my feet. Like anybody that knows me, it's not just about me being in a relationship and my feet being on you, right? I love to be touched, you know. But this is good to know that everybody don't like to be touched. So what happens when you're in a relationship like that, right? You have the conversation with the person. Hey, Madison. Zen said that goes back to how you set your boundaries. Because if you change it up and place the boundaries on yourself, then you're not setting rules for others, only setting rules for yourself. That part. That part. And I wouldn't have been able to answer that, Zen, if you didn't send me that video. I wouldn't have been able to answer that if you did not send me that video. Oh shit, I just got an order. Whoever ordered on here, thank you for your order. It just popped up. I know it got to be somebody on here because I just talked about my website. All right, but I appreciate you if you purchase something. um, but I wouldn't have been able to say that, Zen, if I didn't see that video. I'd have been scratching my head at Tao's question at her question, because I wouldn't have known how to answer that. But that video has taught me that boundaries are not for other people. The boundaries you set are for yourself. So, Tao, this is the difference between the boundaries and the rules. The boundaries are for you. It's for how you're going to navigate through life, how you're going to, enter into relationships, the do's and the don'ts that you have for yourself, not for other people. Right? You can't control what other people do. If you don't like what they do, that's when you check in with your boundaries and you go, oop, that's not for me. And then you at that crossroad, you make a choice. You have the conversation with the person and let them know that they've breached the boundary, or you can fucking walk away. That is the difference. You're not putting those boundaries on them. They're for you. Thank you for that fucking video. Protagonist, that was you. Thank you so much for supporting. I'll get that order out to you. I just ordered a shirt, a hat, and a hoodie. I ain't been on a date a while, so I had a few $40 in the budget. I know that's right. It's a good date outfit. The fuck? I appreciate your support, protagonist. I do. Interior Rue said, at I Am Dissenter, I definitely need to go to therapy. Nothing wrong with that. You make a valid point, and when you just said it, I realized it could be very much be hormonal for me. Yes. Hormones plays a listen. Baby, I didn't the way my hormones have changed since when I had my guts yanked out of me in 2018, aka hysterectomy. Um, my world changed. My world changed. I went through a phase where, I didn't feel sexy. I just didn't feel right. Like my hormones was so fucking out of whack. It had me sad. It was weird. It was really weird. Thank God, my body, kind of worked through that and I kind of got back to myself. But hormones are play a role in a lot of shit. Play a role in how you feel, play a role in your weight, play a role in everything. Your everything. Get the blood work. You can go have hormone tests. See where you're at. Yes, protagonist. Yes, represent. All right. Because there's a message on this shirt. There's a message here. right? No judgment. We walk around, we forget we're human, and we act like we're all perfect. This is a message. Okay? This is a message. Okay. I am just to say I need vulnerable friends. Let's do the work together. Yes. Yes. Vulnerability for me um is is tricky, right? I want to be vulnerable. I do. And I've told y'all on here many a times that my mom even said to me, you don't cry. If you cry, it's serious. Right? But I be crying inside a lot, y'all. But I be scared to be vulnerable because I have had experiences in my life where I try to be vulnerable and express vulnerability, and the motherfucker used it as a weapon against me. And it has bottled me up to a point where I'm afraid. I'm still working on that. But yes, I need vulnerable friends. And the one thing I know for sure is I need a vulnerable man. I know that that's the thing I need. I need a vulnerable man. I need a man that's going to create that safe space for me so that I can be vulnerable with him. I want that. I need that shit. The fuck. Okay. Hey, Aquanda, good morning. I am Jacinta said, don't be over here painting the perfect picture for me and you over there struggling mentally. I think some people put up fake boundaries because they don't want to have hard conversations. Give me an example of what you think a fake boundary is. Great point. Good morning, Chef You. I am Jacinta is recommending therapy. Yes, for all those that might need therapy, go get you some. The fuck. Okay. I know I keep saying I need it. Okay. Fancy K said, damn, that's deep. Everyone is not worthy of a conversation. Isn't that deep? It is deep. And how many times people say, you need to talk to that person? Why? Why I need to talk to that person? Interior Roots said, yes, Roar, people are out here touching faces too. That's ghetto. Don't fucking touch my face. That's ghetto. That's just ghetto. Don't fuck who is touching faces? Now that's we talk about some of us don't even want our arms to be touched, and we talk about faces. Nah, I mean, touch my face if you my man, or you my mama kissing me, telling me you proud of me, or you my child, my baby, and like my grandson, and he's hugging me. But I'm walking down the street and motherfucker walk up to me talking about, hey girl, long time no see. Oh, let me see, and touch my face. You getting cussed out because pimples take a long time to go away. Mm-mm. Thank you, Uhu. You love the hat. Get you one. It's for sale on my website, rawtothebone.com. I have them in two colors, black and gray. Interior Rue said, I feel like boundaries are non-negotiables. Yes. Yes. Non-negotiables. I love it. Uhu said, rules are made to be broken. Great response. Boundaries will get you broken if you violate. Oh! That part. That part. Rules can be adjustable, Fancy K. Yep. Hey, K. Belisa, good morning. Interior Rules said, at Fancy, I agree. Rules can be tweaked. Another one. Rules can be tweaked. Fancy K said, at Interior Rule, and I am Jacinta. Thank you, ladies, for sharing that. Super interesting. How do y'all deal with that in your marriage/romantic relationships? Forgive me if y'all addressed it and I missed. Yes, a question from Fancy K. How do you deal with this in your marriage and your romantic relationships? And this is a question for I am Jacinta and Interior Rule. Give her an answer. This is what we're here for. We're learning from each other. Okay? Interior Roots at Fancy K, I can better answer that when I get into a relationship. Okay, but relationship isn't only with your significant other. Relationship could be with your sibling, it could be with your friends, it could be with your parents, it could be with anybody. It doesn't necessarily have to just be in a romantic relationship. How do you deal with that in any relationship? How about that? Right? Fancy K said at Interior Rule, you've been in a relationship in the past. How did you handle it then? Great point. Interior said at Fancy, speaking truthfully, in my last relationship, there was no touching, just the occasional hug. Interior Rule. Okay, you and Uhu gonna have me on here bugging. You said in the last relationship, there was no touching, just an occasional hug. The question I am Jacinta is, how do you deal? Let me go back up and read it. Fancy K said, how do y'all deal with that in your marriage and slash romantic relationships? Forgive me if y'all already addressed it. How do you deal with your boundaries and if your boundaries have been crossed? I believe I am Jacinta mentioned that she has a conversation, but I am Jacinta. That's on you. Um, Interior Rule said at Fancy K, speaking truthfully, in my last relationship, there was no touching, just the occasional hug. Fancy said, I definitely understand the hormonal things. I definitely have the moments where I don't feel sexy. Yes, I went through that period. I did. But a lot of that was I was going through a lot of different things then. It was my hormones changing. It was a bad relationship I was in. It was a lot. It was a lot going on. And so, that's when I had to start questioning myself, why does these things keep happening to me? And a light bulb went off a year and a half later. I still hadn't figured it out about my boundaries until I fucking saw this video that Zen sent me. And I was like, wait a minute, I've been doing it all wrong all this time. This is a testament to show that we are still growing and we are still learning. Fancy K said at Interior Rule, okay, cool. So hugging is acceptable? Question mark. I'm in therapist mode. What touching is unacceptable? Great question. What touching is unacceptable? Well, she told us one, the poking while somebody is talking. She don't like that. What other touching is unacceptable? Vulnerable friends, exceptional. I love it. Where are they? Everybody's trying to be strong. Where's the vulnerable friends? Interior Roost said at Fancy K, is that touching while talking to me that I really don't like? And it's weird because I especially despise being touched by strangers and people I am not comfortable with. That is not strange. If they are strangers and you're not comfortable with them, then that is not strange. I told y'all that for years, for many, this is personal and deep, but I talked about this on Coffee with Friends after dark. I didn't like fingers in my cootie cat because that was what I experienced when I was molested. Fingers in my cootie cat and rubbing on my butt. And for years, I couldn't figure out why when somebody touched my man, not somebody touched my cootie cat, I'd be like, if you're not getting ready to lick it or stick it, I didn't need the finger work because and I didn't know why I didn't like it. I just kept saying, why the fuck people be talking about they love to get finger fucked. They want to get the fingers on it. And I'd be like, no, I don't like it. Now I know why. That was some shit I had to unpack. And now I like it. Just saying. Now I like it. Hey, AG. Good morning. No worries about the multitasking. It is 10 what time is it? 10:09, y'all. And we made our hour. But today's you said I do. I love the fingers. I didn't for a long time, but now I had to understand why. It took me to a place that I didn't even know it was taking me. Right. And that's a story that I told on my YouTube channel as well. So if you have not listened to it, I talked about being molested. I talked about, my experience, in the crack era with my baby daddy. I talked about a lot of these various things that are that are trauma filled. Things that I'm still unpacking in my today life. Right? I share them on YouTube because that is my form of therapy. A lot of people talk about, oh, motherfuckers, everybody get a microphone and jump on here and call themselves a podcast. You can call it what you want, but I don't know why motherfuckers out here hating. So what if the whole world got a microphone and jumped on here and said they're a podcast? Mind your business. If you're not interested in it, don't listen. But a lot of motherfuckers do it for therapy. That's how I started. That's why my YouTube channel is there. It's a way for me to talk to myself and share my stories with other people who might feel alone, who might be dealing with some of the same things that I've had to deal with and still dealing with, right? It lets other people know you're not by yourself. It does. I'm just saying. And so I just want to say I appreciate you motherfuckers who join Coffee with Friends, who come in here and who lend your perspectives to these conversations, because a lot of us are dealing with a lot of things, right? And having the support of other people is a community, right? A village. The village is not just for the kids, it's for us too. And I love that. Surround yourself, get some vulnerable friends, friends that is able to go deep, right? I talked about having relationships that are puddle size versus ocean deep. That's not just for your significant other, that's for your friends too. And if you have friends in your life where you can't get ocean deep with, then you need to reassess if those are your friends. And if you are fighting with your boundaries, and you have people in your life that are walking all over your boundaries, think about what Zen said. People that care about your boundaries, right? So if you have somebody in your life and you set your boundaries and you've expressed your boundaries to them and they don't respect it, then that is on you to take control of your boundary, and you need to execute how you need to execute. You shouldn't expect them to do anything. That's the difference in boundaries versus rules. You don't have any control over that person. You only have control over yourself. So when your boundary is constantly being crossed and you've had the conversation with somebody and they're still crossing your boundaries, you got a choice to make. You got a choice to make. Pat said in response to Zen, if a person is no longer worth the conversation, I move on and I could care less about what they think or want. So at that point, if you have a person in your life that you say is not worth the conversation, at that point, you feel that they're not even worth having a relationship with. I hear that shit. I'm too old to be having worthless relationships. See, I'm not 20 anymore where I just have a bunch of people that I just hang around because. No, I'm very particular about the people that I hang with currently. Okay? And the people I share shit with. I'm very particular. Miss Shalandere said there's a lot of comments about respecting people who don't like to be touched. But where is a happy medium for the people who like to touch? Well, this is what I'm saying. Cause I love to touch. I mean, it's weird. My touching is weird. My love to touch is not with my friends. My love of touch is attached to my emotions, right? Well, I can have emotional connection to my friends, but romantic emotions, I guess, right? Because it really comes out with my significant other. That's where the touching comes in for me, right? I don't have the thing where I need my friends to touch me or I need to touch my friends all the time, right? But my lover, my man, I'ma touch his ass all the motherfucking time. So I hope to never get a man. This is a good question though. This is something now I need to go back and ask. Like, is this something that we should be asking people? If you know that you are a toucher and you with somebody, should there be a question? How do you feel about being touched all the time? Just ask the person. They might say, I don't give a fuck, I love it. Or they might say, I'm glad you asked because I don't like it. The same way people will tell you, don't fuck with my feet because I don't like motherfuckers fucking with my feet. It's the same way you have the conversation about touching. Aquanda said, can't touch him. You can't touch who? Miss Shalandere said, we don't want to offend you, but I love to touch my friend's family, boyfriend. That's my love language. I love to touch my man all the time. Not my friends so much, but my man, yes. Miss Shalandere said, if I can't touch you, I feel disconnected. That's similar to what Zen said. Zen earlier said he used to do it because if he felt a deeper connection with the person. right? And so that's your response to them. When they say they don't like to be touched, then your response is, my apologies, my bad, noted. I've touched you because I feel connected. That's how I get a deeper connection. And then y'all have that conversation, right? Some people just need to understand. Aquanta said her man don't like to be touched. You can't touch him. Wow. So you can't just randomly touch your boo. Y'all are only touching when y'all having sex then. You can't. Oh my God. I couldn't have a boo I can't touch. I never even bothered to ask a man if he had an issue with me touching him. I guess I should ask, right? I'm learning something. Interior Ruth said, Miss Shalandere, I have never noticed if you touching me, so clearly we are good. I hope this helps in terms of our friendship. I love it. I am Jacinta said, with help from my therapist at Fancy K, they broke down the emotion behind my husband's touch. I don't enjoy slapping of the ass unless it's in the bedroom, gestures, but my husband had to break down that action. Okay, touching of the ass, the slapping of the ass and shit like that on a random. I love it. Walk past me and slap my ass. See, I like shit like that, but everybody don't like it. Fancy said interior rule. I think it's just certain individuals for you. Well, she highlighted strangers, which is, I don't see that weird. Okay, at all. Okay, I am sent to says sex therapist. You have a sex therapist? Damn. Do I want one of those? Anybody on? What's this? What do the sex therapists talk about? That shit sounds sexy. I mean, I love sex. I mean, but I just want to know what the sex therapists talk about. I am just said my husband likes to touch like 24/7. Me. If I'm with you, I'm gonna find a way to touch you. If even if I reach over and just touch your hand while you driving, if we sit on the couch, my big toe could be just touching your knee. It is. I'm gonna touch you somehow. Miss Shalandere said, "Interior root, it does. I never noticed. Laugh out loud. I like to hug and rub arms just because I pay more attention next time, so I won't do it." Fancy said, I love this show, y'all. When are we all having coffee with friends? This is phenomenal. We should all plan a well, that takes me to, our coffee with friends getaway trip, right? So I looked at the first option, right, which was St. Lucia, and St. Lucia was very expensive, y'all. So I bagged that one to the side. And I told the travel agent that I need something more affordable, right? And so I don't know what you guys want to spend for our coffee with friends on the go. I'm hoping that we can do this trip next summer, but I want to get the pricing and the package deals done and hand it out by January, February, so that for those that want to go, we can have payment plans and we can make it affordable, right? So that there's payment options so that people don't have to come out of pocket with a big slew. Now, reminder, if you are interested in going on the Coffee with Friends on the Go trip, right? You will have to sign an NDA. I'm going to have a blanket NDA drawn up that when you put your first deposit down on the trip, that you have to sign an NDA. You cannot I will not have anybody on the trip without signing an NDA. Reasons for that is because y'all are grown folks and grown folks do shit, right? And I don't want people winding up in the resort butt ass naked, doing threesomes and shit, licking cuckoos and all kind of shit, and coming back here talking shit about it. I don't want to hear it because palm trees, the beach, and the sand does things to people, and I'm just gonna be minding my business. It ain't my business, right? And I don't want it to be anybody else's business either, right? And so I'm saying NDAs will need to be signed to go on a coffee with friends on a go trip, period. Okay? If I seen your titties, nobody else got to know I seen your titties. That wasn't on the trip. Y'all get it? Grown folk shit. All right? Just saying. I love a sex therapist. That sounds interesting. Aquanda said, I tried to rub his back and he got ticklish. Okay, so he's ticklish. Fancy Case said, I want to see a sex therapist at I Am the Center. Who did you go? Which therapist? I think that would be very educational to see a sex therapist. I really want to go. Mm. Aquanda said, I'll be good. You're going to be good on the trip. You still got to sign an NDA. I don't care. I don't care. Miss Shalandere said at Fancy K and Interior, I'm need for a good trip. I'm there. Yes. We hopefully I'm hoping that most of y'all could go. That's why I'm trying to get it out and I'm trying to get a reasonable price, y'all. All right. I am. But it definitely will be an all-inclusive resort. I'm aiming for adult only because I'm hoping that it's going to be a bunch of us and we don't need no kids. Okay. And so this is why the prices are a little bit funky, but I am trying, y'all. I'm trying to keep it at a good price. All right. Pat said, I was under the impression that in a romantic relationship, people love to be touched and caressed. I'm a touchy feely person also. News to me for lovers. Right. This is why I say we learn something all the time on here. The fuck? Interior said, Miss Shalandre, we love when you travel with us, so you have to go. Oh my God. Yes, come on. All right. Interior Roots said, Miss Shalandre, oh, good. We are on the same page. Yes, everyone is on the same page. Yes, Houston is going to be there. I cannot wait. So I am working on that. All right. We should have a lot of fun. But guys, I appreciate you joining Coffee with Friends. I love you, motherfuckers. Okay. I am here Monday through Friday. The link is in my bio. Follow me if you're not following me on Facebook, IG, TikTok, YouTube. If you go to YouTube, make sure you are subscribing to my channel. You hit the bell so you know when I'm going live. All right. And hashtag Fit Friends Moment. You know, I see y'all out there working out and doing the do. I have created two chats. One for hashtag Fit Friends, which I've added a couple of people into that chat on IG. If anybody else wants to be a part of that particular chat, it's not for the challenge. It's for like what I'm calling milestone leaders or gold leaders. That's what I'm kind of calling them, where you know these chat groups are going to be set up to focus on hashtag Fit Friends. That's one, right? Where we're going to be putting in that chat suggestions on challenges that we want to come up with. So far, we've got Yoga Girl Sai, who's suggesting yoga challenges. As well as fasting challenges. We have Damaris that has injected, we need to do a water challenge. So we're going to try to put these challenges together and we're going to come up with a way to track it and talk about it on the show, right? We'll do 15 days at a time. At the end of our 15th day, we'll do a special live show that talks about how successful we accomplished our 15-day journey, right? So that's one chat that has started. The second chat that has started is reading with friends, right? So far, you know, I have the milestone leaders in that chat. That's I am Jacinta is in that chat. Cheryl Lee, I believe, is in that chat, right? For reading with friends. And what that chat is for is that we are going to um take suggestions on books, put it in that chat. We're going to come up with a list of books that we want to read, put it out here for us to vote on, and then we'll give a time period and the amount of pages or chapters we need to read from that book, and we'll come to the table and we'll do a coffee with friends, reading with friends moment, where that'll probably be in the evening, where we have a book reading moment where we talk about the book. Now, the type of books that we're reading is healing inspired books, mental, for the mental stimulation and for the physical stimulation. We're not reading books like The Maintenance Man and The Coldest Winter Ever. We're not reading those. We're reading books that's going to help us grow mentally and physically, how to be better people. All right. It could be sex books or non. It doesn't matter. But as long as it's lending to our growth. All right. Mm, that's it. And that's all. Now, Pat has a question. If a person does not like your touch, do they love you? Oh, can we ask that tomorrow? Because that's a great question. I'm going to write that down. That's a great question. I'm asking that. What's tomorrow? Freestyle Friday? Yep, we're going to talk about that tomorrow. Do not like your touch. Do they love you? That's a great question. I don't want nobody to get into that because we're going to talk about that tomorrow on Freestyle Friday because I got an answer for that shit, right? Because that's not so cut and dry. It isn't. It isn't so cut and dry. Not for me. Not for me, but we'll get into that. But in the meantime, between time, guys, I just want to say I appreciate you guys, but y'all already know that, right? So next week, I should be coming up with a day that we're going to do Coffee with Friends before the month is out. We only got about a week or two left of this month, right? Or maybe like a week and some days or whatever the case may be, but we will squeeze in Coffee with Friends after dark. I don't know what the topics will be, but it doesn't matter. That's easy. We could come up with something. All right. And if anybody has anything specific they want to talk about on Coffee with Friends after dark, just jump on the show and talk about the shit. It doesn't have to be formal, right? Y'all know how we do. We jump on, we have a good time, right? But focus on loving up on your brothers and sisters, y'all, because that is the goal. Be better human beings. Give each other grace. Continue to grow, continue to learn. And with that, y'all, I'm going to give y'all the vibes. Damn, IG is going. I'm gonna give y'all the vibes to leave on today because you know I appreciate y'all and I try to give y'all everything motivational. So even when you feel even when you feel slow, you can still go. Even when there's no hope, you can still go. I never answer to no, man, I still go. Go, 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 go. This is Coffee with Friends, and I am raw to the bone. No matter how low you feel, you can still go. All right? Get this message, y'all. Remember, each day you wake up is a new day for us to do it all over again. All right. Don't beat yourself up on the bad days. Just work through it. On a good day, celebrate it. But understand that every day that we open our eyes, we are given another day to do it again. All right. And with that, y'all, I'm out. I love you, motherfuckers. Peace. Gone for now, never forever. Hey. Buy that energy. What? Hey. I never answer the no, man. I still go, 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 go. Hey, peace, y'all.